Welcome back, Cowboys fans. Today we're diving deep into the unofficial depth chart that just dropped ahead of the first preseason game. There's always a buzz when these charts come out, right? Everyone's trying to figure out who's actually starting, who's competing for spots, and what surprises might be hiding beneath the surface. The Cowboys roster this year is full of intrigue, especially at some of those skill positions where the roles aren't as clear-cut as you'd expect. Let's start with the wide receiver situation, because honestly, that's been one of the more fascinating storylines. The depth chart shows an OR between Jalen Tolbert and Cavante Turpin, which basically means the team isn't officially naming a starter between these two. Now, when the Cowboys roll out their base personnel, with 3 wide receivers, it looks like Tolbert is the default number 3 option on the field. He's the guy who steps in when the play calls aren't specifically designed for Turpin or anyone else. But don't let that fool you into thinking Turpin won't be heavily involved. In fact, if you rank the receivers by how often they're used or kinds of plays they're in on, Turpin might actually come out on top for certain packages. He's a wild card. Not just a receiver, but also someone who can line up in the backfield as a running back. That versatility means Turpin could be taking more touches, even if Tolbert ends up seeing more snaps overall. You might even see the two out there on the field together in some third down or no back sets, which could give the Cowboys a real dynamic. Look! The way Madden or CFP CC26 has listed Turpin almost makes him a jack of all trades. Receiver 4, running back 3 or 4, plus the primary kick and punt returner. That multifaceted role could turn into one of the most exciting aspects of Dallas's offense because it keeps defenses guessing and gives the coaching staff plenty of options to get creative. Beyond that, the overall wide receiver depth chart lists CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup up front, followed by the Tolbert-Turpin mix, then Jalen Craver and Jalen Mingo backing them up. Tan Holden is behind Mingo, with Ryan Fennoy and Jalen Brooks filling out the rest of the group. Speaking of Brooks, it's worth noting he earned first-team special teams reps recently, which could be huge for his chances of making the roster. Special teams value often tips the scales for those bubble players, and with CJ Goodwin also competing as a gunner, Brooks' involvement there might be a deciding factor. Personally, I'd like to see Tan Holden make the squad because of his pure wide receiver skills, but the Cowboys seem pretty set on Lamb, Gallup, Tolbert, Turpin, Mingo, and Pickens. Now, shifting to defense, the depth chart brings up some interesting points about the defensive ends. Marshawn Kneeland is listed as a starter opposite Micah Parsons, which makes sense if the Cowboys are prioritizing run stopping on that side. What raised some eyebrows was Tyrus Wheat getting the nod as a number 2 defensive end over Peyton. Turner? That's a surprise because Turner's been viewed as a pretty solid prospect, so seeing him lower down the depth chart is unexpected. Then there's Donovan Isaku, who shows up as the 4th string on the chart, which honestly seems a bit harsh given what he's shown so far. The group on the left side of the defensive line looks stacked. Kneeland, Wheat, Turner, Houston, and it's likely all 4 make the roster. On the right side, it feels more like a battle for maybe just one spot, which puts Turner's spot in jeopardy even though contract terms might give him an edge. It's also worth mentioning that rookie Houston has flashed some promise, and the preseason charts might not fully capture his potential. These early depth charts can shift quickly once the games start, and coaches see who's performing under pressure. Overall, the defensive end rotation opposite Micah Parsons is set to be an intriguing chess match, with players like Dante Fowler, Marshawn Kneeland, Sam Williams, and Donovan Isaku all competing for snaps. Fans will definitely want to watch how this group shapes up through the preseason. At the nickel corner spot, Kamen Hall was named the starter, with Israel Muamu backing him up. The Cowboys' best case scenario might actually be Dante Bland getting that nickel role because there are some questions about the health and consistency of the outside corners. Kyrie Elam and a few others are competing for those outside spots, but injuries have been an issue and the depth is thin. Kamen Hall was on the bubble last season and ended up getting hurt late, so seeing him ahead of Muamu on the chart is a bit concerning. The cornerback room is somewhat fragile, especially considering that key players like Kalen Carson and Andrew Booth are dealing with injuries. Players like Bruce Harmon, Troy Pride, and Zion Shoulders are seeing reps, but haven't yet made a strong enough case to be considered starters. The lack of depth and injury concerns at cornerback raise real questions about how confident the Cowboys can feel about their secondary heading into the season. If key players aren't healthy early on, the defense could struggle to contain opposing passing attacks. Special teams roles will likely be filled by guys like Robert Rell and CJ Goodwin, both known for their contributions in that phase of the game. Moving to linebacker, the depth chart shows Jack Sanborn and Kenneth Murray as the primary starters, mostly handling nickel packages. There's an OR designation at the third linebacker spot between Maurice Leafua and Deone Clark, which points to an ongoing competition. Sanborn and Murray are both solid starters, with Murray having missed some time due to the birth of his child, which is a nice personal milestone but can impact practice reps and team chemistry. The rest of the linebacker group includes players like Shamar James, who briefly worked with the ones earlier in the week, and a handful of others battling for roster spots. The linebacker unit's flexibility to rotate and cover multiple positions could be a strength, but depth remains a key question. The Cowboys' offensive line depth chart reveals some injuries, but nothing unexpected. The starters are solid and veteran-led, with players like Tyler Smith banged up but still holding down key roles. The second team includes a mix of backups and younger players stepping in to fill gaps. It's clear the team's strategy is to blend experienced vets with promising draft picks, which should pay dividends in preseason play and ultimately the regular season. Watching how the second string line performs will be crucial to understanding the Cowboys' depth and injury resilience. At quarterback, there's no real surprise. Dak Prescott leads the pack, followed by Joe Milton and Will Grier. It's unlikely we'll see Dak take the field during preseason, which makes sense given his importance and the risk of injury. The team seems cautious about how much Milton will play, probably to avoid aggravating his injury. That leaves Will Grier as the emergency option, which raises some fun hypotheticals. What if Milton can't go and Grier gets hurt too? Then the Cowboys might have to turn to a receiver or another position player who can throw the ball. It's a long shot, but shows just how fragile quarterback depth can be in these situations. In the backfield, Javonte Williams is clearly the lead running back, followed by Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue, Deuce Vaughn, and Phil Maffa. The order looks solid and matches what we've seen so far. Hunter Lipke will likely make the team as a hybrid fullback, running back, and tight end, which adds valuable versatility. The tight end depth chart stays consistent with Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, and a few others. Injuries have shuffled some of the roles, with players like Revin Spencer and Princeton Fant vying for snaps, and some undrafted free agents pushing to make their mark. Defensive tackle sees a crowded group, with Osa Odigizua and Solomon Thomas among the key names. Ernest Brown, quietly working his way up, could be a sleeper in the rotation. The defensive line has a lot of position flexibility, with guys switching between 3 technique and 1 technique spots as needed. This versatility gives the defense a chance to adjust dynamically based on the opponent. Safety is another interesting spot. Maris Bell is listed behind Malik Hooker, which might be misleading since Bell typically plays strong safety, while Juan Thomas handles more free safety duties. Mike Smith and Elijah Clark round out the depth, with Zion Shoulders getting some reps as well. The safety group will be important for the Cowboys' defensive schemes, especially given the injury concerns elsewhere. Special teams are led by Brandon Aubrey, Brian Anger, and Trent Sieg, who will all be key in those often overlooked but crucial moments of the game. The return game is a spot to watch closely because roles there tend to shift once preseason games begin. For instance, Cavante Turpin likely won't be the returner despite some initial listings, partly due to injuries and the team's strategic plans. Other players like Jalen Craver and Jaden Blue could see opportunities depending on how the running backs and receivers are managed on special teams. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In the swirling world of the NFL offseason, rumors and speculations have reached a fever pitch with the recent confirmation of a major trade involving the Cleveland Browns and Dallas Cowboys, sparking widespread chatter and intense debate among fans and analysts alike. The Browns, known for their bold moves, have reportedly agreed to send a key player to the Cowboys, a franchise that has been aggressively pursuing a game-changing defensive presence. The centerpiece of this blockbuster deal is none other than Myles Garrett, one of the league's most dominant defensive ends, who is rumored to be closing in on a contract with Dallas. While the Browns front office has remained tight-lipped about the specifics, insiders suggest that this trade could mark a seismic shift in both teams' strategies moving forward. The Cowboys, long criticized for their defensive struggles, appear poised to make a statement by acquiring a talent of Garrett's caliber, signaling their intent to compete at the highest level in the upcoming season. Meanwhile, the Browns might be positioning themselves for a rebuild or realignment, banking on new assets acquired in this exchange to reshape their roster and tactical approach. As details continue to emerge, the NFL community is abuzz with anticipation, dissecting potential impacts and wondering how this high-profile transaction will alter the balance of power in the league. The buzz surrounding this trade has led to endless speculation about the Cowboys' motivations and how Myles Garrett will fit into their defensive scheme. Known for his explosive pass-rushing ability and game-changing plays, Garrett's arrival in Dallas could inject the kind of defensive firepower the team desperately needs to complement their offensive prowess. Sources close to the team hint that Garrett's signing could transform the Cowboys into a defensive juggernaut capable of disrupting opposing offenses in critical moments. Meanwhile, the Browns' rationale for parting ways with such a marquee player remains shrouded in mystery, fueling rumors about internal strategic shifts or financial considerations driving the move. Some speculate that Cleveland might be aiming to free up cap space or acquire draft picks and young talent in exchange for Garrett, which could suggest a longer-term rebuilding process. The Cowboys fan base, ever hungry for championship glory, is already buzzing with excitement over the prospect of adding Garrett to a defense that has struggled to contain elite quarterbacks and dynamic offenses. As the details of the deal crystallize, the ripple effects could be felt throughout the NFL, setting off a chain reaction of trades and signings as teams recalibrate in response to this blockbuster move. This potential union between Myles Garrett and the Dallas Cowboys has become a hot topic, not just because of the player's individual prowess, but also due to the broader implications for team dynamics and future rivalries. Analysts are speculating that Garrett's impact on the Cowboys could extend far beyond the defensive line, potentially inspiring a culture shift within the locker room and influencing the team's approach to high-pressure games. Meanwhile, Cleveland's willingness to finalize this trade may signal a philosophical shift in how the franchise approaches team building, perhaps prioritizing depth and flexibility over star power. Rumors abound that the Browns might have been weighing internal conflicts or dissatisfaction with Garrett's role or contract, which could have precipitated this trade. The Cowboys, on the other hand, seem eager to leverage Garrett's elite skills to shore up a defense that has often faltered in critical moments, particularly against top-tier opponents. The NFL's competitive landscape is shifting rapidly, and this trade could be a catalyst for Dallas to finally break through long-standing playoff barriers. Fans and pundits alike are closely monitoring every hint and report, eager to see how this deal will affect not only the two teams involved, but also the wider league hierarchy. Adding to the intrigue, the timing of this trade has sparked intense debate about the strategic calculus of both franchises amid the offseason frenzy. The Browns, by reportedly agreeing to this swap, may be signaling a willingness to embrace bold changes in pursuit of long-term success, possibly leveraging Garrett's value to address multiple roster needs. On the Cowboys side, sources suggest that the front office has been methodically planning to secure a defensive cornerstone, with Garrett topping their list of targets for months. The deal also raises questions about how the Cowboys intend to structure Garrett's contract and integrate him with existing defensive stars. Will Garrett assume a leadership role, or will he be part of a larger defensive overhaul? Meanwhile, Cleveland's acquisition package, details of which remain murky, could include draft picks, young prospects, or complementary players who can fill key gaps. This trade, if fully realized, could redefine both teams' trajectories, reshaping the NFL's power dynamics as the new season approaches. Fans and commentators are dissecting every angle, with some predicting this move could lead to a Cowboys resurgence, and others suggesting the Browns may be risking too much by giving up a premier defensive talent. As the NFL offseason unfolds, the confirmed trade involving Myles Garrett has unleashed a wave of conjecture and excitement that continues to dominate conversations across sports media. The Cowboys, having secured a player of Garrett's caliber, appear poised to make a significant defensive statement, possibly altering their fortunes in the fiercely competitive NFC East. The Browns, meanwhile, have set off a firestorm of speculation about their future direction, with many wondering how they will replace the production and leadership lost with Garrett's departure. This trade might be the opening salvo in a larger strategic realignment for both franchises, hinting at more moves to come as the NFL landscape shifts dramatically. The implications extend beyond the two teams, as rival franchises watch closely, ready to adjust their own rosters and tactics in response. Whether this deal will translate into immediate success or signal a transitional phase remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the NFL offseason is suddenly far more intriguing, with Myles Garrett potentially donning the Cowboys star, and the Browns embarking on an uncertain but ambitious new chapter. The buzz will only grow louder as training camps and preseason approaches, with every development scrutinized for clues about what this seismic trade means for the future of both storied franchises. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.